So how do you become a winner and not just somebody who wins, right? Because I think everyone, no, I do know that everyone in at least once in their lifetime is going to win at something. And I'm talking about anything, right? It could not just taking wins financially or like business wise or getting a sale or making your first 10K month. Like those are big wins. But it could be as small as winning, a video game against your friend. It could be as small as, or not as small, but it could be a win like winning your school's basketball championship, right? Or like anybody at anything wins at least once in their life. And I'm gonna take an analogy here, and I feel like basketball. I'm just gonna use basketball because it's a nationwide sport. It's a national sport. Hopefully, you guys have heard of basketball. And in basketball, if you're over the age of 5, I'm just gonna assume if you guys have played it that you've made a layup before. You could be the worst shooter, you could be the worst basketball player, you could be the least athletic person on the court. But I guarantee you guys have made at least one layup. And if you haven't, let's just take a hypothetical. Let's say you're the worst basketball player in the world and you've never played it before. Um, Even if you're the worst person there could be at basketball, if you go ahead and pick up a basketball and put up 500 shots, even if it doesn't take 500, 1,000 shots, 2,000 shots, 3,000 shots, 5,000 shots, you're going to make at least one layup, one basket, right? And you've won. And that first basket is going to feel amazing, right? Not like this is just in basketball. You can apply this to anything else. Like, let's just say, right, this first layup that you make after trying 5,000 times it's going to give you the best dopamine hit, right? Like it's gonna be crazy, right? But the difference is, this is where, like, this is where people separate into two different groups. And I keep hitting this is where people separate, I think, in my opinion, into two different groups, right? There's people who sit on that win and let the dopamine take over, and they become attached to the outcome, compared to people who the win only motivates them, drives them to catch the next one, to attract the next one even faster, to make the next layup. It only forces them to want more. So there's two, like, those are the two things that can happen, right? And that's what separates somebody from somebody who just wins. Because, like I said, everyone wins. Everyone can win at something, versus somebody who becomes a winner. And just back to that basketball analogy, let's take a 3 pointer. You could be the worst shooter, shoot a million times, you'll probably make one. Greatest shooters out there in the NBA, Ray Allen, Steph Curry, right? Like the greats, Kevin Durant, the greats in basketball. They were at once a time, even though now it's basically a given they're going to make a three at least once, at least literally like at least 5 times every time they step on the court. But there was a time when they made their first 3 pointer ever, when they were like 10, 8 years old, right? That was a time when they made their first 3 pointer. And that probably felt really, really good to them, right? But there's a reason why they're the best in the world. There's a reason why they are a winner, because that three they made years ago, that was the one that started to get the ball rolling. That they use that feeling. They use the feeling of making that first three that they ever made in their life. They used it, and now they're superstars in the NBA, right? They use that same exact feeling, and they didn't sit on that win. They weren't attached to the outcome of making. They weren't content with the fact that they made their first three. That's what a lot of people do, right? They're content with making their first sale. They're content with having one payout trading, or two payouts, or three payouts, right? Whatever X amount there is, for people who are winners, there isn't an X amount that's enough. That's why they're winners, right? That they have a different mindset when it comes to winning. There's no such thing as winning inherently to them, because there's always going to be something they're going to point out. There's always going to be a next step for them. There's always going to be something bigger for people who are winners versus people who just come across the wins and sit on them. People who are winners are urgent, they're perfectionists, they're going to look at the wins, their first three they've ever made. Oh, could I have had a faster release? Could the ball have, I don't know, come off my hand a lot smoother? Could I have had a lot better shooting form? Whatever. Even if they drain the three from, I don't, like, beyond the arc, right? Beyond the three, they're still going to be perfectionists, and they're still going to pick out what they can do to make the next to make the next three come to them even faster, compared to the dude who just made three celebrating, right? Whoa, I've done enough for today. That was hard work. 1,000 shots, 5,000 shots. That shit was so hard. I can take my well-deserved rest now, compared to the dude, okay, I just put up 5,000 shots and I made my first three. That felt amazing, cool. Okay, how can I make that into 4,000 shots? How can I make that into 3,000? How can I make that into 2,000, 1,000? You keep going. Steph Curry's made. You're going to make a three in one shot now, right? So that's how people, or that's how, you see people making in sales, I guess, staying so consistent because they weren't content with making their first 10 sales. They weren't content with making their first 100 sales, 1,000 sales, 5,000 sales, right? There's no end for people like that. There's no, like I said, a certain amount that'll make them happy. And so I think that's just a big separator of people who, are successful and people who aren't, because people who aren't are attached to the result and stay content with it when they make a small win. But just keep in mind, everyone's gonna be there. Everyone's gonna have a win, just like you. So you're not special. If you take a win, I mean, it's a good thing that you've won at whatever you're doing, right? Like that's great. It's better than losing. But at the same time, everyone in this world wins. And what separates you is whether you're willing to attract the next one even faster, or if you're going to sit on that win and let other people catch up. But yeah, that's just, I don't know, something I feel like I've noticed, and what kind of separates people from, being the one versus, just like everybody else. But yeah, and that I don't got anything much else to say. But I appreciate y'all for watching. If y'all have different opinions or perspectives or views on this kind of like take, I guess, let me know. That's the main point of reason why I post videos like this, is to open up conversation and dialogue. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. God bless and have a safe rest of y'all's night.